Cool. So I guess we're back. Who knows if it'll last? All right. What a strange day today has been. Very strange day. Cool. Well, I'm going to wait 30 more seconds, and then we're going to continue on. I'm not going to accept any more submissions because I will be here all night. Hey, once again. Let me see. I need to make sure I got that one song. Hold on. October 18th. Yeah, I don't know. I just updated everything and restarted everything. And if it screws up again, then I'm gonna have to do some more digging. But we'll give it a shot. Let's do this. I'm gonna just lock this, lock post, and do the GIF. That's all. Okay. All right. Let's check out Nemkai, Delta Fuel. Finally, let's hear it.
You wanna come around 'cause your looks run out and you're feeling down. Disappoint me now, don't you know you're so predictable? See me letting go, I'ma lose control. See me letting go. You wanna come around 'cause your looks run out and you're feeling down. Disappoint me now, don't you know you're so predictable? You wanna come around 'cause your looks run out and you're feeling down. Disappoint me now, don't you know you're so predictable?
All right, this is pretty cool.
You're so predictable.
You know what I think would maybe make the drop a bit better?
See me letting go, I'ma lose
Maybe switching up the chord progression before the drop happens. Like it's it kind of, to me, it needs like a complementary chord progression to build a little bit more tension before you go back to the same. So if there was like some sort of little, almost like a pre-chorus or something that is a slightly different set of chords, then all of a sudden there would be a bit more tension being built to go back to that chord progression. But the drop sounds great as is. Same thing here. I mean, like, it doesn't necessarily need to change the chords here, but if you think about this, the whole time it's kind of doing the same chords and the same melody.
run out. See me letting go.
Yeah, like so far the whole song is the same chord progression and the same melody. And yes, the vocals come and go. So I think if we could have some sort of like relief from that chord progression and melody, I think that that's probably going to do it some good.
See me letting go, I'ma lose control.
Like I'm aware that this kind of builds tension and it does work well, but what's up, Westbrook?
See me letting go.
Yeah, I'm pretty much all healed now. I did some chin-ups today. I'm still a bit sore and whatnot, but I'm pretty good now. I love you too, Divert. Thank you for joining.
You wanna come
Yeah, I'll sign your forehead only if you get it tattooed though. Yeah, so I still feel the same way. I think that like what you have here is dope, but I feel like yeah, chin-ups, pull-ups, one is one way, one's the other. I don't know. I lifted myself off the ground using my arm for the first time in like 2.5 months. So yeah, I still think that like switching up the melody or the chords would allow us to enjoy the melody and chords that are there more than we already do. I mean, it all sounds good. It just kind of feels a bit static.
feeling down? Disappoint me now, don't you know what it's about? You wanna come on, 'cause you look right out and you're feeling down. Disappoint me now, don't you know what it's about?
But yeah, the melody, the production, the melody's good. It's all good. I just think yeah, that's pretty much my only note is get away from that melody a little bit and then come back to it. It's like you're kind of missing like half of the song, you know, you're kind of missing like the part of the song that gives it some contrast or gives it a different angle. But production sounds great. Drop sounds great. I would just try to fit in an alternate contrasting chord progression or something to break the track up a little bit. All right, let's move on. Vegamag's Bork.
A person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about except thought.
Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so the drop is cool.
Let's go.
I'm not really hearing any melody or any theme, you know. There's lots of cool production happening. The mix sounds good. I think we're just kind of missing like a melody or like a hook or some identifiable element that sets it aside from another really cool sounding, you know, trap kind of heavy, I don't know. Whatever style of music this is. It sounds good. The drop sounds good, but there's no real identifiable element. It's just a bunch of cool sounding sounds. Like, even all this stuff that's happening here, it sounds dope, but it's not a theme element, it's not a melody, it's not a hook, it's supporting sounds. Like, everything here is dope. It's all badass. It just kind of needs like yeah, like this is all it's really cool production. It sounds really good. I need a hook, I need a melody at some point. Doesn't have to be the whole track, doesn't it? But at some point there has to be a theme. And right now the theme is like production. But I think you have I think you have a great like you got to go and just write a melody. Like to me you've got a great basis to write on right now. But yeah, it needs exhaust parts to be ordered. The song reminds me that I need to order exhaust parts, or is it you? I mean, you could order them if you want, and I will just use them. Yeah, that's my thought. My thought is you've done a great job with the production. The mix and master sound good. Now get some sort of melody or hook or something in there so that we can have kind of something to attach to as opposed to just rocking out the whole time. Cool. Moving on. Zephyrinth, Cosmic Dust. Okay, so this is dope. I'm not sure about the high pass intro thing. I feel like this it's kind of hard on the ears. Like it would be one thing if there was other stuff happening in the track so that you didn't have this like hole in the bottom end here. But without anything else there, having that big high pass intro just kind of hurts my ears a little bit. The next thing is that the sub range, I think it's the kick, maybe the kick and the sub. There's like some rumble in the jungle down there. And you can kind of see that the sub range is maybe a little too loud, but there also might be some interaction between the two the kick and the sub bass because it's kind of a little bit messy down in the bottom end. That fill is cool, but it's like minuscule in terms of how loud it is versus everything else. Now, my next thought is that the FM sounds that you're using, I feel like you use those in a lot of your tracks, and they're kind of like they're not a bad FM sound, but they're kind of like they sound kind of like a default FM synthesizer sound. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not that interesting of a sound because it just kind of sounds like maybe a 2 operator citrus patch or something like that. Oh, it's 3 oscillator. How did you do FM and 3 oscillator? Oh, there is a way. How do you do FM in 3 oscillator? I didn't know you could do that.
Move the bass down.
Yeah, I think if you pulled out some of your sub range, another thing I noticed is that your sub range is very pure, like sine wave sounding, and then you've kind of got a bit of a gap between it and the other stuff. It's not bad, it's just that the sub range kind of feels like a separate entity instead of just the bottom end of your track, if that makes sense. And I think actually you could kind of see that the sub is very loud because this is like your kick right here. You can see all this empty space, and then this is your side chain opening up, and then this is how loud your sub range is. So it's probably mostly your sub bass is just too loud. And you could tell, like, I went in and just kind of, I went into the sub range. I pulled like 3 or 4 dB out, and then I brought the master limiter down. And then the whole track gets louder because it's not fighting that sub. I mean, melodically, it's dope. It's very, you know, chiptune. We're fighting the final boss. It's really good. Again, I think you should get FL Studio stationary. But besides that, yeah, just try to get your sub range a little tighter, and I think it sounds great. All right, let's check out Verbatim. Hopefully they're back. I don't know, maybe Yeah Well Whip. What a track title. Let's go. I think the pacing's a little off. I'm getting maybe a little bored at this point. What's up, Landon Hill? Okay, I like this. This is cool. I think where you have like this melodic vocal thing happening, I think moving the bass notes around and creating some sort of chord progression would work well, and maybe you do that at some point. You know, instead of sitting at the root note the whole time. You know, like move it around a little bit, create a bit of drama. Will, did you talk to Darren? Has he made up his mind yet? Okay, so yeah, that's what I think about this. I think the intro, the pacing was too slow. I got bored, and I think that I mean, like, I don't mind the drop sitting at the tonic or the root note, but like we're at the root note. We're just kind of sitting on the same note for so long that it starts to get a bit mundane because it's like, okay, we're still at that note. And it was a nice switch up when it finally switched up, but I think that should have happened sooner. But yeah, I mean, it sounded good. You're doing a good job. I don't know if I have anything else to add because it is a short little idea, but I think be cognizant of playing the same note for too long. And I'm sure there's lots of great songs out there that would disagree with that. But generally speaking, I think balancing, like building tension by playing the root note for a while and then like breaking away from that and elaborating with a chord progression is a good idea. Cool. Let's move on. Aiden Dodge. Nebula interlude. Cats hopping on as soon as he gets his screen fixed. Okay.
To fight it, I sacrificed everything I once had. I took all the lighting, but the choices I made, they only ended bad. All I ever wanted was to chase what I aspired. My legs can barely walk, yet I still don't feel tired. And I don't wanna give it all up now. My body's telling me I need to keep going.
I mean, the melody is great. I really like the vocals. They're a bit buried. Like, I think they should be louder, and they still kind of sound like they have some sort of, maybe it's the pitch correction. There's still something that sounds like digitally grainy.
My body is floating and my mind is a nebula.
But yeah, I mean, it sounded dope so far. I really like the vocals on this one. I wish we could figure out what it is that you're doing to your vocals that makes it sound grainy like that.
I tried to fight it. I sacrificed everything I once had. I took all the lighting, but the choices I made, they only ended bad.
It's gotta be, it's some sort of fancy thing. It's not like a normal, like a compression sound. It's like a pitch, like maybe, what are you using for, pitch correction? I feel like it's it's the pitch correction, whatever you're using for pitch correction.
Is floating and my mind is a nebula.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it is. Because to me, it sounds like somebody pitch shifted or time stretch. It's just got that like resynthesis kind of sound to it. So when you're singing, it doesn't sound, it sounds like your voice has been recreated by some sort of digital tool, which is usually the case of, when you're like, pitch correction and stuff like that. It's breaking the voice down into tiny little pieces and it's rearranging the pitch and putting it all back together again. And the more aggressive you go with the pitch shifting, or maybe some tools are better than others. I like Melodyne. If you stay within, like a semitone, you can't even normally tell that anything's been changed with Melodyne. I can't say the same for that Melda tools. I've never used it. It's not necessarily like it's not like an unheard of sound in today's day and age music. Like we're used to hearing that grainy kind of digital sound because so many tracks have been remixed and cut and stuff has been ripped out of songs and put into other songs. Like we're used to that, but it's yeah, there's just something that every time you send in vocals, it has that kind of grainy, like low quality sound to them. Not like super low quality, but like the top end is digitally sounding. I don't know, that's kind of not the best word to use. But I would go and turn on and off the plugins you think might be causing it and see if you can hear what I'm talking about, like see if you can hear that graininess and really narrow in on which plugin it is. And if it is the auto-tune kind of plugin that you're using, maybe try to find something else. I know Melodyne isn't very cost effective. I understand that, but it is probably the best in my opinion. In terms of pitch correction. It's not an auto-tune style one. You have to actually manually tune it, but I think that's better anyway. I mean, like, I wouldn't really feel comfortable just throwing like an auto-tune thing on and having it make all the decisions for me. So yeah, overall, I think this is sounding dope so far. I think the vocals could be quite a bit louder. They're kind of underneath like the respace. The respace sounds like the loudest part of the track. And maybe try to figure out what's causing the vocals to be grainy and see if you can find a different way of doing whatever that plugin's doing. All right, let's listen to the man, the myth, the legend, Divert, aka 9N1. Temporary rough draft. All right.
I was there when the clouds parted. Do you remember the day we met? I walked the ocean. And I touched down on the surface, and it hurt like love. It hurt like love that was temporary. Love that was temporary.
I'd probably like drop out the sub bass right before the drop comes in to give it a bit more, because like one thing I found is when it finally got to like the drop section, and I know that it's like progressive, it's not supposed to have this huge build and a big drop or anything like that, but I still feel like that could have been a better moment, and maybe peeling back some more of the layers right before the drop section happens and then dropping in would make it have a little bit more impact here.
That was temporary.
I also find that the timing on when she says temporary, she seems like she's rushing it.
Hurt like love that was temporary.
I think temporary, like the P is like a little early or something. It's pretty minor, but I did notice it. It sounded good though. It's very chill. I like it.
Hurt like love that was temporary.
Now, one thing I'm wondering,
Temporary.
you know what it is? I think it's the vocals. The vocals are almost driving the master limiter. Like when I try to make it louder, watch when the vocals hit.
Love that was temporary.
And then when the vocals aren't there, I can get away with being down there and having that much more loudness during this. And you can kind of see it in the waveform too. So I bet you the vocals come back in right here. The mix sounds good though. The mix sounds good. I think it just could be louder, and that might require some friggin' and foolin' with the mix.
Remember the night you told me never to get too close, 'cause your cold heart would leave me burned, would leave me. And you touched my hand and we kissed, and it hurt like love. It hurt like a love that was temporary. 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 It hurt.
I feel like you could have like a little like 909 snare roll. It doesn't have to be super in your face, but a little snare roll there would be cool to like build it up a bit harder.
Hurt like a love that was temporary.
I also find her vocals are very muddy.
Like a love that was.
You can kind of see on the spectrogram, but also like
Like a love that was temporary.
hear how kind of boxy baby it is? Boxy babe?
Like a love that was temporary.
Like down in that area.
Like a love that was temporary.
So for the vocals, I'd probably
Like a love that was temporary. Like a love that was temporary. Like a love that was temporary.
you hear how that resonance down in the fundamental area, like down here.
Like a love that was temporary. Like a love that was temporary.
Right in that frequency. Like I'm boosting it there, but if I don't boost it, it's still very like wow.
Like a love that was temporary.
It could be kind of a compounded problem where she's already got kind of like this like, you know, like super chesty voice in the recording, and then you might have her going through a delay and reverb that's really accentuating that frequency range. So a lot of the time what'll happen is you might have that issue. It'll go into delay and reverb, and that'll stretch out, and it'll kind of resonate within the delay and the reverb. So maybe even just going in and not necessarily just blindly scooping that frequency out of the vocal track, but check out what your reverb settings are like. Maybe the reverb itself is accentuating that frequency, and you can go and pull the frequency more out of the reverb wet signal as opposed to just overall. But I think overall you probably still could pull some of that frequency out because it's pretty yeah. And you know what? That's probably why it's probably that resonance. That's probably why I wasn't able to bring the limiter down here.
Like a love that was temporary.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it might be your I'm almost certain it might be your reverb that's fucking you, because I can kind of hear it when she went up higher.
When we began, I craved your love.
But besides the vocals, oh, my camera again. Cool. Today is the day of technical issues. Hello. Oh, I wonder if it's going to screw my audio thing up again. I wonder if it's related. Seriously? The power switch. There we go. Yeah, let's check out the very end here.
That was temporary.
Yeah, it's like super.
Tempo.
That, if you listen to just this frequency,
Temporary.
yeah, I think if you can get a bit more brightness into her voice, I don't know why my fucking camera isn't working. If you can get some more brightness into her voice and pull out some of that low resonance, I think that's going to be the ticket. That's going to be the ticket to the greatness. But yeah, really good, dude. Sounds dope to me. Very smooth, very relaxing. It's a nice mix. I think the vocals just need some love, and then you can step on it a little harder with the mastering. All right, next up, Felix Archives. Okay, Sanitator Mit Ol.
When I first saw you, when I first saw you cross the bar, wanna find out who you are. She said she saw me too, and I said I'm into you. €1 per drink, but she can get them free. No clarity to think what's happening to me. It's your smile, it's your style, and you get them thighs. I got mine, I could die for you, get them eyes. It's your smile, it's your style, and you get them thighs. I got mine, I could die for you, get them eyes. Every night I'm so can I just sunrise? You couldn't catch me by surprise, 'cause I see our future in your eyes. Too many plans to share. You don't know how much I care, but know this world is unfair. I know it's beyond repair. She doesn't want me no more. Why don't you want me no more? All that I try is so. All that she do is ignore. Just to say a word, you just making it worse. All of my shit hurts, and you're just making it worse. When I first saw you, put a curse on my body, 'cause now nobody can replace your body. When I first saw you, put a curse on my body, 'cause now nobody can replace your body. It's your smile, it's your style, and you get them thighs. I got mine, I could die for you, get them eyes. Every night I'm so can I just sunrise? You couldn't catch me by surprise, 'cause I see a future in your eyes. Just to say a
Okay, so the thing that I think about this, I think it's cool. I think the vocals, you need to get a better recording setup. There's too much. It sounds like it was recorded on a phone. I'm not saying it was, but it gives that kind of vibe. There's no, and I know the style of music, you can kind of get away with it, but like, I think that's the biggest thing that's holding this back right now is just a better recording setup so that you have a clearer vocal sound.
It's your style, and you get them thighs. I got mine, I could die for you, get them eyes. Every night I'm so can I just sunrise?
Oh, excuse me, sorry. Trying to find the spot where it really.
Just to say a word, you just making it.
I think right here, there's like a bunch of background noise.
Say a word, you just making it worse. All of my shit hurts, and you're just making it worse. When I
So I think like, and this is a pretty easy one to solve. I mean, it costs money, but it's not like you have to figure it out. I think, a Rode NT1A, and a closet with some blankets in it, or like you don't have to go crazy expensive. A Rode NT1A is a very good, just like standard. I'm sure I have one or two of them kicking around here somewhere. Very run of the mill, good quality microphone that will do a lot of good things well. And you could buy a used one for probably like $100, so I feel like getting that would and having a dedicated spot somewhere with no laptop fan going, no air conditioning running, and just treating the vocal recording process a little bit more professionally. Because like you've got the production sounds good to me. The song sounds good to me. The biggest thing is just that the vocals just do not sound as professional as they could.
When I first saw you, put a curse on my body, 'cause now nobody can replace your body.
I also think that like, when I'm assuming this is the chorus. I think this is the chorus. When it drops in, I think, and maybe you might want to wait till you get a better mic for this, or a better recording setup. But like, I would just have, at least to start with, like the drums, the bass, and the vocals, and then bring all the other stuff in as you go. Because I think that's all it needs.
When I first saw you, put a curse on my body, 'cause now nobody
Yeah, the clap's a little up front. You're right.
replace your body. It's your smile, it's your style, and you get them touch.
Because I could imagine like the chorus, this section being mostly just vocals, drums, and bass, and then there could be a post chorus that has a little hook in it, and you bring in the other instrumentation. So it's more like this. This part's more stripped out and just has the vocals as the focus, and then you bring in the ding 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 ding, the melodic stuff, and maybe a little bit of vocals at the end of each measure, or some sort of hook or something. More of like a simplified like post chorus sort of thing.
Them touch, I go much, I could die for you, get them eyes. You know how much I care, but to me, it's your smile, it's your style, and you get
Yeah, you kind of have this like ding 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 thing in the background. It's like a sawtooth, like.
to me, it's your smile, it's your style, and you get them touch, I go.
And I just think it would go harder if it was like super simple when you drop into the chorus section, and it's just like the bass line's dope, the drums sound good, the vocals sound good. Just strip it back to just that and let those things really shine, and then elaborate maybe with another section and have that as the focus on the other musical things that are happening, the other synths and stuff. But yeah, pretty dope. I like it. All right, let's move on to chord wake up. Let's see what kind of chord madness we've got this week. So like, I like this. This is dope, but it sounds like it's going somewhere and it never got to the place that it was going to. That's the biggest thing. The whole thing sounded like a buildup, and I don't necessarily have a good, like 3-line piece of advice for you, but I think it needs to go somewhere. It feels like it's going somewhere, but it feels like it never quite arrives. And like there's a lot of like low pass elements. The drums are just a low pass kick drum. So like, I don't know, you could like build it up and then have like drums, but yeah, I think you got to keep going with this one. It's dope. This is my favorite chord submission, I think, so far. It's a really good start, but you're gonna have to pull the trigger. You can't just keep sprinkling new elements in. It's not how it works. You're gonna have to figure out the destination and then figure out how to get there from where you're at now. Yeah, I think that's it. That's all I got for you. It's dope. It sounds good, but you got to keep going and you got to figure out where you're going, and that might be the hardest thing of all. That sounds very deep. All right, let's check out. I don't want to say this wrong, but Horyu, So High. Okay, so I don't dislike the sound of the vocal, but in the pitch shifting, you have added just like this big pile of energy up here in the 5 kilohertz area. So if you're gonna go for that kind of chipmunk formant shifted vocal sound, you got to be cognizant of what happens to some of the more relaxed frequency range, because it used to have a lot down here and now got shifted up here. And there might also be some other things playing into it, like, all the delay and the reverb and stuff might be causing an even more pile up of energy in that frequency range. So that's one thing I would say, is that I don't mind the chipmunky kind of sound, but you've got a lot of energy up in that high mid area. Another thing that's happening in this buildup is the vocals are, let's do this. The vocals are kind of at this level the whole time. And you can see as you're building up, you are, I can't find there it is. You're burying the vocals. Like, I couldn't even hear the vocals at all from here on. I would probably too, in this right here, I'd like pull back all the reverb. I would pull everything back and just have the vocal, because it's a bit, you've got kind of this like what looks to be an intentional hard stop and then the drop, but there's a lot of elements that are bleeding over due to the reverb and the delay, and I think you're still actually playing some of the synths and stuff like that. I also think you could master it a bit harder. I mean, like, to me, it just doesn't look like it's mastered yet, but this could be challenging for mastering, considering how loud some of these sections are and how quiet some of these sections are here. Haha. See that? You had that like sound, and it just cuts off hard, and you can see it in the spectrogram. I heard it initially, but then I was like, oh, I wonder if I could see that in the spectrogram. You can. So I'd fade that out a bit more gently and natural instead of... Because you know what that's like? That's like when you're watching a TV show and you notice that they forgot that you can like see the cameraman in the reflection of a window, or like it's like some medieval thing and you can see a Starbucks cup. I think that happened on like Game of Thrones or something. It kicks you out of the experience. It takes you out of the immersion of it, right? So when you hear that sample stop abruptly, it's like, oh, that was just a sample. It makes it feel less than. I'm also wondering what's with this cutoff here. To me, this almost sounds like this was 2 different project files or something, like something was transplanted. Well, maybe not, because you still have the this kind of hard. I don't know that seeing that is not necessarily the problem. I think it's the vocals. The vocals are giving it kind of like this satin finish, like this. It kind of rounded off at the top end. I'd probably have some more. Like you've gone a long time with no percussive stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'd probably have some ding 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 ka ding 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 ka or something to keep the pace moving because we went from a minute say 40 to we went about a full minute of no real percussion to speak of. I think there's a couple things here and there. You've got like a kick drum fading in there, but that's a long time to go without, and especially with the tempo of this because it's so slow, right? So you got to kind of, the pacing is already going to be slow because it's kind of a slow halftime track, but now you've removed all percussion and rhythmic elements for a full minute. That's going to drag on. There's really no way for it to not drag on. I'd probably chill that main synth out a bit. It's a bit up. It's like it's quite a bit too loud. I really like the drop sections though. It's kind of reminds me of like 50 Shades of Grey or something. It's really cool. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you for sending. Let's move on. Hatman. Benadryl. I predict you will say the same thing about this as last week. Holy fuck is what I'm going to say by looking at it. Let's have a listen. Please help. Well, first of all, this just kind of, I mean, when you have like actual literal silence, it just kind of seems like the song has ended. Like that to me, sure, there's some okay stuff happening in there, but to me it's not you haven't elaborated. There's no real musical thoughts happening. There's just some nice strings moving. It's not really portraying anything. There's no melody, there's no real tension. It's just kind of stringing. And then that bass is not in the right key. This is like its own thing. It's kind of cool because it's its own thing, but it is certainly its own thing. Also has absolutely nothing to do with this intro. I don't really know why this intro exists. It's not in the same key. It doesn't seem to relate to the rest of it at all. Off key intentionally. All right. Listen, if you have to explain something, it's like a joke. It just won't work. Like, if you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. If you have to explain the music, then it's not going to work. In my opinion. I just don't think if you have to explain it, it's not going to work. The drums sound better than last week, though. I will say that. I don't know if you use something different, or maybe it's just the song. See, like, this is sick, but I just I can't get over the bass. I can't get over the MIDI bass. Do I have a list of tracks you don't even remember? Yeah, I've been making electronic music since 2004. I have a lot of tracks I don't remember, I'm sure. I like this part. This part is dope. I still think that getting a real bass on there is probably the move. I like the resonant noise synth thing. It's cool. It's really just the bass is like, it's undermining it. This looks kind of like a Star Wars, isn't it an A-wing or a B-wing? Let's find out. Star Wars A-wing. No, not an X-wing. I want an A-wing. No, it's not an A-wing. Maybe it's a B-wing. No, it's not a B-wing either. No, it's not a B-wing. I don't know. This looks like a Star Wars craft. So, yeah. I don't mean to be harsh about the whole explaining if you have to explain it, but that's typically, I mean, like, you're really assuming that people who have never heard your music or know who you are, they listen to this and they care for you to explain it to them. You know what I mean? It's like, if the music doesn't explain itself, nobody's gonna ask for an explanation. So that's what I have to say on that. I really like this section. I like how the vocals are right in our face, because I feel like the vocals are quite buried in the rest of the track, but the style is so experimental, I don't know that I can give you real good feedback. I would really like to hear this with more authentic sounding instruments, because it sounds like you know what you're doing in terms of writing the music. I just don't think that general MIDI bass is really keeping up with it. It's an inside joke with myself. Sure, I mean, hey, I'm just letting you know how I feel when I hear it and how most people will likely feel when they hear it. And if you don't care about that, then that is totally legit and you should for sure do your own thing. I'm just letting you know that to me, musically, it didn't make any sense. So yeah. Okay, that's what we got. Let's check out Fresher, trying to play me. Here we go. What is with the looping on that? It's like it wants to start looping here, but it doesn't. What? Okay. Why are we building up so long? Holy shit. So this is sick. This part's sick. I don't know why, like, the structure is strange. Because this kind of sounds, this section right here sounds like a B section of a drop. It sounds like you just did a big nasty drop and now we're coming down off that big nasty drop and we're grooving for a bit before the breakdown. I don't know why that section, oh sorry, that itchy back. I don't know why that section's there. I also don't know why it took a minute and a half to get to the drop. That seems like a long time to me. So I think like maybe this goes with some more effects rising. I think that's a way better structure. Get rid of that whole section for where, at least where it's at right now. Also, the sub is very loud, especially considering we're not in the drop. It's like, that's like full blast. So maybe chill out on the sub a little bit and have this build a little more whoop into the drop. But yeah, the sub is like wildly too loud. You can really see that sub is pinned right at 0, and then the rest of the track is like probably 8 decibels underneath it. More like 15 decibels underneath it. You don't need repeating kicks. No, I mean, like, it's used a lot and sometimes it's overused and sometimes it's cool to like do it in a different way instead of just like kick, 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 you know, but I mean, it's used a lot because it's effective, I guess. This is another example of how loud your sub is. Yeah, your sub bass could come down a lot. Yeah, I'd drop your sub bass probably like 3 or 4 decibels at least, and go from there. The track's dope though. The vibe is very good. There's one note that kind of bothers me. It's right here. Right. It's this one right here. That. I don't think that's the right note. So yeah, I I try those things. I don't know. I think it's dope, dude. It's a cool track. I think your sub's too loud. I think the arrangement is not just this issue here, but I think that's a good place to start. The rest of the track is just a bit ambiguous as to like where you're at in any given point in time. So maybe carve out the sections a little more, like define them a little bit better, but it's a cool track. Thank you for sending. Let's check out the last one of the day. Whoopsies. Boudrix. There For You Instrumental Master Final. I would say leading up to this point here, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but so far there's nothing, there's no swells, there's no stuff changing. It kind of sounds like a repetitive loop for 30 seconds. Okay, there is a rule that I don't like rules. Fuck yo rules. But there's kind of, I think it's a pretty good rule. You don't use the same distinctive sounding effects twice in a row. So we have this, we have that, and then we have it again here. And again, it's about that immersion. It kicks you out of the track because now, oh, we just heard that sound, and now we're thinking about the fact that we just heard that sound. And not just producers, normal people, they might not be able to tell you why, but that sounds cheap. It sounds like you are just copying and pasting again, right? So I think that that rule might be an okay rule to follow, is to never use, like if it's like a swoosh or something or a cymbal, whatever, but if it's like a very distinctive, like that was a very cool sounding effects, and it looked cool on the screen too, like that it looks like something from a sci-fi movie. So when it's that distinctive, I wouldn't use it back to back like that. It's too obvious. Four times in a row. That should be illegal. I mean, the chords sound dope. The track sounds dope, but that effect is all I'm listening to now because I'm like, are we going to get it for the fifth time? Okay, so whatever, all jokes aside, just be more cognizant. I think that's the third time I've used the word cognizant. Be more aware of how often you're using effects that have a very distinct sound to them. Okay, my next thing is, musically, this is beautiful. Production-wise, there's some issues. So I don't really hear the kick drum. You know, like, I'm not sure exactly what's going on because I can see this, I think the side chain. But I'm not hearing the kick drum hit. I don't know, is it 128? Am I safe to assume? Like the bottom end in this is kind of a mess. If we listen to the very bottom of the track, like down here, I can almost make this sound better by doing this. First, I will high pass. I'll get rid of all your low end. The low end is just not good. So let's turn the master off. Let's speed run this, and I'll show you how much better it can sound with a more solid, like, put together bottom end. So now let's figure out what the chord progression is. Shouldn't be too hard. Where's my piano roll? I'm rusty. Why? Why my piano no work? Excuse me. Whatever. It's not really exact, but I don't really care for the purposes of this demonstration. So let's put it down. I mean, it's already sounding better, and I haven't even put a kick drum on it yet. So I just kind of winged the bass pattern. It's not really correct, but you know, whatever. I'm also going to do this. Okay, now let's put a kick drum. Kick drum. And all this is like I think it's maybe a triangle wave. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, this is just straight up a triangle wave. That's what I'm using for the sub. What are we in, G sharp? I don't know. These aren't going to be right, but it's the thought that counts, right? Okay. So let's add a kick drum, and I'm going to sidechain my sub. So let's go into 29, create. Whoopsies. Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Because, like, you've got a lot of great stuff happening here, but there's the bottom end is just not doing it. It's not cutting it. All right. So all I have done, yeah, sorry, Bobby, we're all out of time for today, but we'll be back next Friday. I had to cut it kind of short today because I had some technical issues, but next Friday, I usually do 20 songs. Okay, so let's have a listen to your song without my additions. So we're going here. Okay. Okay, now let's hear it with my additions. So That's the power of just having, and all I've done is high passed your whole track, gotten rid of everything you've done in the bottom end. I've high passed it. I added my own sub bass, which is just a triangle wave played in the correct octave. And I've added a kick drum that has some girth to it, right? And I mean, like, obviously it's going to sound better if the notes are all being played the correct way. Because it's like dun, 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 dun. So it goes like dun, dun, like this. I don't think that's the right note for the bottom end there. But anyway, whatever. That's my point. My point is you've done a great job at the musical side of this, but the production of the bottom end is the issue. Go and watch the video on my YouTube channel called Sub Separation. It might not be called Sub Separation, but I don't have that many videos on my YouTube, so you can probably find it. Anyway, I think if you did this, you would be 1,000% closer to what you're after with this track. Again, musically, it's dope. Please do not use the same effects sounds back to back 8 times in a row. That's my other thing for you. Okay, cool. That's it. Thanks for standing by while I had stupid technical issues at the start of this stream. It always happens, and it will continue to happen forever. I will never do better, and that's okay because you're not paying me. So I love you. I hope you have a good weekend, and I look forward to hearing what you do next week. Okay, bye. I'm going to mute the mic.